You know, comic book films has been around for a while now. Well, right now, Hollywood is struggling to make a good comic book film. I know, right? Disappointing. And maybe one day, video games movies might replace comic book film as the new big thing. Hashtag Super Smash Bros. Movie. But we're not going to be worried about video games movie taking over. At least not right now. Well, today, I'm going to be rankings all of these comic book film, like the top 20 best comic book movies. And I can't believe it's finally here. Okay, just to make this clear, this ranking is all about my opinion. So, whatever when I say is that movie is better than this movie, just keep the argument to yourself and just tell me about your own opinion in the comments down below. Because I am not ready to go through a YouTube Civil War. Well, by the way, Happy New Year. And man, a lot has changed in every year. Well, in the past, cartoon movies used to be goofy, unlogical, a little boring, and sometimes legendary. Well, ever since the Loud House movie, cartoon movies are starting to develop a lot, and that is a good thing. Well, DC movies, on the other hand, they have gone from being garbage and a waste of time to actually being really entertaining thanks to the redeeming quality. Well, the Marvel movies are the same as ever, but because of the fact that Disney is having issues of not making good movies anymore, Marvel is not really trying like they used to. Well, video games movies used to be the worst back in the 90s, but everything changed ever since Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Anyway, back to the video. Okay, for number 20, let's start off with the movie, The Marvels. Okay, for those that enjoyed that movie, you need to understand that this movie has played it way too safe, despite that the potential. They just made this movie for teenage girls, and it is somewhat a good thing, but it is rather ridiculous and distracting ending. In fact, this movie does not have a story. It's just Captain Marvel teaming up with the other main characters. And that is hilariously embarrassing. And I noticed that the Marvels has some pacing issues. They just fast pace the whole entire movie, and it did not give the characters some time to react. And it does not give us time to see the main villain's motivation. Well, the first Captain Marvel movie never had this pacing issue. They actually took their time to let the characters be characters. And it doesn't seem like the characters are developed, well, except for Captain Marvel. And also, they just wasted Nick Fury in that movie. Nick Fury wasn't the tough spy agent then I remembered. And who thinks it's a good idea to have Captain Marvel sing a musical number? Yeah, this is weird. Okay, well, sure. I have superheroes sing musical numbers in my multiverse music battle, but this is different. According what I seen in the reviews, it wasn't all that bad. Well, despite all the issues that I had, I didn't really hate my time watching the Marvels. I enjoyed the interaction between the three main characters. And Kamala had a decent arc in this movie. Well, I didn't like Kamala from the Miss Marvel series because her character development does not make no sense. And she was a pretty forgettable character. But now I'm starting to have some respect on her when I watch the Marvels. The fight scenes from the beginning was pretty cool. And it was a fun time. But the action in the rest of the movie, well, they're pretty okay. I mean, it was basic and kind of weak compared to Ant-Man and the Wasp final battle. So the fight scene from the beginning is my only favorite part in the film. So yeah, the Marvel was pretty painful, but it was the best in its own way. But I don't plan on watching this movie again. Number 19 is Black Adam. Okay, I thought Black Adam was a decent comic book movie. Okay, at first, I don't like the idea of The Rock playing as Black Adam. Like, I don't see him as the Black Adam material. Well, until right after I watched this movie, Black Adam had a somewhat redemption arc in the course of the movie, and I gotta admit, I was so pissed that they killed off Dr. Fate. Like, what the hell, DC? No effing reason for that. I still enjoyed the movie, despite with the issues that they had. And I'm surprised they even redeemed themselves by giving us a way better fight scenario than Batman vs. Superman. But that movie would probably never happen because Warner Brothers are planning to reboot the DC movies all over again, and I think that was pretty understandable, but at the same time, it's BS. And 4 out of the 4 movies that I have watched, the first one and the second one is a waste of time. They're both pretty slow, in my opinion. For Love and Thunder, well, it was pretty alright. I don't think it's that bad. Describing what people said. So that leads us to number 18, Ragnarok. This is the best Thor movie that I have seen. Okay, well, just like the other 4 movies, the pacing was slow, but it makes up for it by having the Hawk join in, and for founding his true powers when he doesn't have the hammer. That is some great character development and the superior story of all of the 4 movies. 17. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Realm. Well, I am not going to lie. Well, the first Ant-Man movie, well, it was alright. Well, the second movie, well, it was a fun ride, but still alright. And the third movie was the best out of all of them. Well, I never thought that King the Conqueror would be the villain in this. And there are some father and daughter duo, which we never seen before in Marvel movies. Well, everything about this movie felt so executed as it plans. Well, the critics may not agree, but this is a really good movie, and there's no reason to give it a bad review. Number 16, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Okay, that is a underrated comic book movie. Well, the first one was cool. I mean, I enjoyed it, but the second movie has more action. I mean, come on, you can't tell me that's not better than the first one. The action was awesome. The character development are good, and the background music are great. Okay, the only part that I don't like about this movie is the fact that Wonder Woman showed up out of nowhere at the end of the film. Like, what the heck? Okay, well, sure, I know it's just a cameo, but Wonder Woman has no purpose of being in this movie. Especially, she has no purpose of being in the Flash movie. Like, that's just weird to me. That I agree. Well, for number 15, we have the Double Spy Battle in Hell. Okay, as you didn't know, I made my own movies that is based on my comic books. Well, if you want to see any of them, then go find these movies in my channel. Well, anyway, Battle in Hell was a success in my book. It has some maturity themes. It's basically a story about Michael discovering that he's adopted. It has some great adventures that the characters has experienced. And this movie hold their own with the action. And Michael finding his inner beast was a great moment. Well, the only thing that I did wrong with this movie is that I didn't give B-Girl and director Dan some more screen time. That was a big mistake that I have done, not giving director Dan and B-Girl some more screen time. But I fixed that with my recent film. 14. Wakanda Forever. That movie was great. There's a lot of emotional core of this movie. The pacing was nice and slow, and you get to explore the other kingdom in underwater, which is cool. I just love it. That would be the movie that I would watch over Aquaman. But this movie is not good enough without their king. Number 13. All of the Avengers movie in order. Yes, that's right. All of the Avengers movies are equally good, but that doesn't mean that I like all of them. Well, Avengers Age of Ultron sucked. The action was overwhelming, and they took way too long to develop their characters. Well, the first Avengers movie was awesome, but this Avengers movie does not have a story. It's just about the heroes working together, so there's no improvements here. And besides, the plots are weak compared to the Justice League movie. But I'm still going to put it on awesome, because I enjoyed the heroes fighting together. Captain America Civil War, okay tier. The reason why I watched this movie in the first place, because Spider-Man was in it. Seeing the Avengers fight each other at the airport was kind of boring to watch, to be honest. But just to give it some slack, it was better than Batman vs. Superman. No argument there. Okay, then we get to my two favorite Avengers movie. And oh man, there's a lot that I need to talk about. Let's start with Avengers Endgames. Endgame was the most awesome comic book movie that I ever seen. But there are a lot of issues that I had with this movie. Let's start with the fact that Endgame has wasted the characters. Well, Thanos just got weak in that movie, so he ends up being easily killed off. But at least 4 aim for the head this time. Well, Endgame also wasted 4. I mean, they just made him yolk fat. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that's just disrespectful to me. Yike, who come up with an idea of 4 being fat? So disrespectful. Well, do you want to know what else they wasted in Endgame? Captain Marvel, 100%. Okay, just think about it for a moment. Captain Marvel didn't really get enough screen time in this movie. Yike, all she ever did is showed up in the beginning, helped the Avengers kill Thanos, and then 5 years later, Captain Marvel is just cut off out of the story. Yike, we never see her again. Well, until she showed up again during the final battle of this movie. I was so pissed about that. Okay, well, I understand that Captain Marvel was new to the MCU, but come on. Captain Marvel deserves so much better than being overshadowed by the movie itself. Well, me personally, if I was in charge of Avengers Endgame, then I would have Captain Marvel help the Avengers with the time travel scene. Well, I think that would be better. And speaking of time travel, another issue that I had with this movie is the time travel plot. Hey, don't get me wrong. The time travel plot was my favorite part of the whole movie. Well, at least it used to be. Let's just say that I just realized that they didn't do a good job with the time travel war. Hey, I am not a scientist or anything. I just know how time travel works. Okay, so, they're going back in time to steal the 6 Infinity Stone, right? Well, if it's going to happen, then it would be some serious consequences. Well, if the Avengers steal all 6 Infinity Stones, then the Infinity Stones wouldn't be here in the future. Well, Carol Danvers would probably never get her powers because she got her powers from the Tesseract. And that means that Dr. Strange never had the Time Stone to begin with. Comment down below if you have any idea what I'm talking about. Well, Captain America putting the 6 stones back is probably too late, considering they just killed off Captain America out of nowhere. And I think that was pretty forced. Well, if the future Captain America beat up the past one, is that means that the past Captain America might quit? What I'm saying is that there's supposed to be some big consequences right after time travel. I mean, to make the movie better, you have to have, something bad happens in the future that may put the heroes in danger. But that never happens because Endgame clearly did not do a good job with their time travel war. Avengers gets to walk away without any consequences, except for the fact that they're being attacked by Thanos, but still, well, half of the time travel makes sense. Well, since Loki escaped, he has his own TV series. So I will say that they did something to let us know where Loki has gone. And what's the Agent One saying about the time travel makes more sense than the movie. But since Bruce Banner told the Agent One that Doctor Strange give the Time Stone to Thanos, well, I guess Doctor Strange never become the Sorcerer Supreme in the future at all. And Nebula should be dead when she killed her past self. I mean, if she kills her past self, this means she won't exist in the future to begin with. So you see what I mean? The execution of the time travel war was poorly done. Well, the Flash movie never had some time travel problems. It just showed us exactly what happens when you time travel, even though it was basic. Okay, my final issue that I had with this movie is that they copyrighted Spy Kids 3. Well, when I watched Endgames the second time, I noticed that the story looks a little familiar. Well, it's because Spy Kids 3 did that story first. In the plot of Spy Kids 3, Judy goes into the video game world to rescue his sister. Well, in the plot of Avengers Endgame, they travel back in time just to get the 6 Infinity Stones. Well, during Spy Kids 3, we had this battle to the death. Well, Black Widow and Hawkeye also had a battle to the death. Well, in the behind the scene of Spy Kids 3, they did a all-out green screen in the whole entire movie. Well, Avengers Endgames literally did the same thing by doing a full screen, just like Spy Kids 3 did. When the heroes return to the real world, the villains start invading the real world and start taking the final battle here. And that's funny because when the Avengers return back to the future, Thanos invaded the future and take the final battle here. Well, in the final battle of Spy Kids 3, all of the characters that's in the Spy Kids franchise all showed up, getting ready to fight to protect the world. Well, in Endgame, everyone that is dead all come back and all ready to fight to save the world. So, do you know the difference between these two movies? Well, don't lie to me because I know you don't. So, as you can see, Spy Kids 3 was the original Endgame, because this movie has came out way before Avengers Endgame, and it is not a coincidence that they have the same plot. So yeah, that's all the issues that I had with this movie, and it is so painful. But Endgame is not a bad movie. Well, I gotta give it some slack. The characters are truly developed, and the final battle scene was way cooler than Spy Kids 3 anyway. And I like how they have Tony Stark sacrifice himself at the end of the movie, because that ended the story of Iron Man, and I was left appreciate it. Well, even though I had a lot of issues about this movie, it is still my favorite good tier. Then we have Infinity War. Well, I gotta say, Infinity War is one of the best to me. The background music are cinematic. The fight scenes and the action are awesome. And the movie ended with a cliffhanger where everyone dies from the snap. Well, it was a little predictable because I knew Thanos is going to win at the end of the film, and I thought this is a pretty great start to develop a part 2. Okay, well sure, it was sad to see our favorite heroes go, but I don't mind it that much, and besides, it will get boring if you have superheroes win all the time, so consider it as a creative ending for a part 2. Avengers Infinity War is the most rewatchable Avengers movie. I watch it more than 100 times, and I only watch Endgames 2 times, and 2 times is enough for me, because I had a lot of issues about this movie, and it was a 3 hours movie too. So Infinity War is best tier. Okay, for number 12, we got the recent Batman movie. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite films in 2022. This Batman movie is dark, accurate, slow pace, and it felt like that I am reading an actual Batman comic, except it is 2.5 hours of comic page. Well, believe me, I'm more like a Spider-Man person, but I found this movie to be better than The Dark Knight. Number 11, Double Spy, The End of the Era. Well, this is my most recent film, so I recommend watching the whole entire movie before I spoil it. Well, the end of the era is like Avengers Endgame, but except it doesn't have any time travel or anything. Well, this movie is literally 5 hours long. So that was the longest movie that I ever made. But this film has a lot of action to keep the audience entertained, and it has some emotional scenes, where Nicole lost her mother once again, and it has some serious character motivation, and it has some great ending to wrap up the whole trilogy. Well, this is maybe a 5 hours movie, but it got some heart in it. Number 10, the Ladybug movie. Well, I am not a big fan of the actual show, but the movie is so much better than the series because it really holds up as a comic book movie. Well, the only issues that I had with this movie is the musical numbers. I mean, the musical numbers was pretty annoying to hear in every 5 seconds, minutes, not going to lie. But it has some chemistry, emotional core on the characters, and a leap of faith, like literally, and I am sure it puts a smile on everyone's face. Number 9, the Black Panther. Remember when I say that Wakanda Forever is not good enough without their king? Well, I was saying that the first Black Panther movie is better. It is not an opinion, it is a fact. The first movie is just so much better all the way. The pacing is nice and slow. There's some fun action. Pretty good African background music. It has some villainous motivation, backstories, and some emotional feel that hit everyone so hard. So the first Black Panther is awesome. Number 8, Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 is way better than the first one. Well, it was funny. The action is unbelievable, underrated, surprising, and it was very emotional. Well, in the beginning of the movie, Deadpool's girlfriend gets killed off. Well, at first, I thought that was a waste of character, but it was actually important to start the plot. Yeah, Deadpool just had a whole emotional arc. Well, Cable himself has a emotional arc as well, despite that he has lost his family from a really bad guy. Well, Deadpool 2 is even the best X-Men movies. Well, even Deadpool is not even a part of that team. And that kind of make me excited for Deadpool 3. 7, Scott Pilgrim. This is a great example of a story. Well, the animated version from Netflix was pretty overwhelming good. for how much it just changed. But the live action one, it was one of the rewatchable comic film. The fight scenes are amazing. That would totally make the kids sign up for karate class. And Scott has a moment of character development. He didn't save the world just to save his loved ones. He saved it to respect himself. That kind of bring a smile in my face for how much the characters has really changed. Number 6, B-Girl Battle of Aliens. Well, it's like Double Spy Battle in Hell. Well, except it is 10 times better. It was pretty mature. It tells the origin story of how B-Girl met Braintron. And it has like a group of teenage team. And the action was pretty fun. And it has some emotional core. And it has some slower pacing. Like it's supposed to be. And Samantha had a character development at the end. Despite that she was feeling stress in the beginning. Well, number 5, the Superfiction and Double Spy crossover movies, Part 1 to Part 3. Well, I don't need to do any rankings of them, because they're all equally good to me. I did a very good job with the background music. Well, Part 1 was really fun to watch, and there are some interactions of the characters. Well, I might have fast-paced the movie to get to the cliffhanger, but it was pretty worth it for all that I have done. Well, Part 2 of the crossover movie, I did like a crazy multiverse story where everyone from multiple universes all showed up, all because of Vegeta, and I had a fun time with the multiverse story. It has slower pacing. I have Bugman carried for Hammer. I have Mario and Luigi do their adventure things. I make all of the fight scene look awesome. And I literally continued the story of the Teenage Bounty Hunters, even though it is not a official. I made Michael a new avatar in this movie, and I even put myself in this movie. It's like Avengers Endgame all over again. Okay, Part 3 of the crossover movie. Part 3 is the aftermath after part 2. A new multiverse's character come from the future to warn Michael not to make a new era without the power crown. So they have to go back in time to get the power crown. So yeah, part 3 is more like a time travel story. Well, it is basically the same thing from part 2. Well, except it has faster pacing than the first part. Well, there's a plot twist where Braintron was still evil and everyone dies. And then Michael defeated Braintron in a one-on-one fight. And then Michael was able to make a new era. And then we have Earth Prime. And then everyone live happy after. Let me know in the comments down below which part, what do you think is better? Number 4, the Lego Batman movie. Well, it's kind of is a comic book movie. It's more like a spin-off of the Lego movie. Well, you know, I used to love the Lego movie, and now it just got annoying, so I don't like it anymore. But I like Lego Batman way better. It is hilarious, a fun ride, emotional, and some unexpected multiverse mix-up, which that's pretty cool, despite that they're all Warner Brothers characters. It really sent a good message about being a hero. Number 3, the super fiction movie. Okay, that movie is more like the Bully Sisters story, but it still focuses on a group of heroes working together, and you get to explore Captain Super's home planet and everything. It is like an outer space experience movie. Well, you know how I have these comic page in the background in my recent movie to make it feel like a comic book film? Well, the super fiction already felt more like a comic book film, because this movie transfer you into the next page, and this is why the movie is fast-paced for a 2 hours film. And the action in this are great. I did a good job on that. There's a secret alternate ending where Space Need showed up and started invading planet Earth. And then Mary had a character development during the final battle of the movie. And then Mary and Lola has a chance of getting the Golden Stone to transform and defeat Space Need. And that is one of the best moments of any of my films that I made. And the Superfiction is one of the best movie that I ever made. Number 2, all of the Spider-Man films. In order, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero growing up, and I love his movies. Well, not all of them. There are some Spider-Man movies that I don't really appreciate, and there are some of them that I really liked. Spider-Man Far From Home, that movie was really good. Okay, Spider-Man Homecoming, well, this is more like a high school comedy movie, and it has some less action. Well, to give it some slack, the Vulture was in this movie, and he is one of my favorite supervillains. But I have to give it an okay tier. Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is amazing. The multiverse story was insane. I almost went crazy when they bring back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And there's some very good emotional beats that hit me. Well, people from the internet been saying that No Way Home did not do a good job with their multiverse story. Well, I kind of agree with that, because they couldn't add more Spider-Man characters, but who cares? No Way Home is the best of the trilogy. Okay, now the original Spider-Man that has started it all. Well, of course, I have to put it on good. I mean, this movie is legendary. Well, Spider-Man 2? Well, Spider-Man 2 is 10 times better than the first one. So, of course it's going in here. Spider-Man 3? Well, no disrespect, but Spider-Man 3 is the weakest Spider-Man film I ever seen. Like, there's no reason to put too much story plot in one movie. Like, that makes it overwhelming. And Fathom Yoke's messed up yoking. Like, he did not yoke like Fathom at all. He kind of yoked like a CGI dinosaur that give kids nightmares. And thank God he yokes even better right now. Okay, well sure, it was the most rewatchable Spider-Man movie, but the reason why is rewatchable because of the action. So suck tier. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. out of all of them, I like how they did with the multiverse story. The characters are developed. The animation yoke exactly like the comic books. The action was a fun ride. I even like this movie better than Lego Batman. Best tier all the way. Amazing Spider-Man. Well, it was okay. Well, it was pretty good. But the fight scenes at the school was pretty weak. And the wizard origin story just felt rushed to me. You know what? I will say it's better than Homecoming. There we go. Spider-Man 2? Well, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, it was pretty fun. Not going to lie. But at the same time, it is alright. Andrew Garfield killed it with the Spider-Man personality. Yikes, seriously, he is top tier Spider-Man. Well, just like Spider-Man 3, they put a lot of overwhelming plot story in one movie, and that kind of makes it boring in its own way. Well, I know that happens in the comics, but killing off Gwen Stacy at the end of the movie is a pretty dark ending for a Spider-Man movie. Well, despite that, I really enjoyed it as a child. Good tier. Phantom. Phantom is just cool. Well, they may rush the origin story, but I enjoyed it despite with the fast pacing. Well, I don't think it is the best Spider-Man movie, but I would watch it over Spider-Man 3. Morbius. Morbius is a pretty cool movie, but I don't see any improvement or any development. And I don't see this movie has like a story. It just felt so rushed to me. Well, they did alright with the action, but I have to give it weak. And mind that I move Spider-Man 3 right next to Morbius. Phantom 2. Phantom Let There Be Carnage is a waste of a movie. Well, I thought the movie is going to be interesting because Carnage was in it, but it turns out to be a wasted potential. Phantom and Eddie were arguing like they're a marriage couple or something, and that is just ridiculous. And they even fight each other in an apartment for no reason. And they totally wasted Carnage in that movie. Like, there's no way that Phantom defeated Carnage in a one-on-one fight and then killed off Carnage that quickly in one movie. that is just cheap. I would prefer to see the ending where the movie ends with a cliffhanger where Carnage won. And then we have a part 3. I mean, I would like to see that. It would be nice. So yeah, the first one is so better. And Venom 2, all it do is just waste. Suck tier. And these movies haven't came out yet, so haven't seen it. Then we got Across the Spider-Verse. This is my second favorite movie of 2023. And it is also my second favorite Spider-Man movie. They went pretty hard with the multiverse story. Miles Morales and Gwen are great main characters. The animation overpowers the first movie. Well, I like the first Spider-Verse movie because the first movie has more action and better development. But there's a lot that we're going to expect for the third movie. So Across the Spider-Verse, best tier. Oh, wait. Hey. There we go. Okay, best tier. Alright, finally. Now we get to number 1. And you guys probably already know the answer to that. The best comic book movie is Blue Beetle. I really like this movie a lot. Well, recently, I heard that Blue Beetle had failed, and there's absolutely no reason for this movie to fail. I don't see there's something wrong with it. Well, except for the fact that they took a little too long to develop their character, but still, I don't see there's something wrong with it. It's just super enjoyable. So Blue Beetle should not have failed at all. The Blue Beetle suit look just like in the comics. Solo Medina, the actor from Cobra Kai, he did a really good job as Blue Beetle. The action is really awesome. And it has the most emotional beats of all of the comic book movies. And it has some flannelly love arc that hits me so much. In every reunion it has. And that's what I call a story. And for some reason, Blue Beetle kind of reminded me of the Spider-Man movies. Hey, I am not comparing. Well, even though I put some of the Spider-Man movies on Suck Okay Whatever, they're all equally good to me. And Blue Beetle is the best comic book movie ever since Spider-Man. And that was it, guys. Oh man, this is probably the longest top 20 videos that I ever did. Well, if you guys don't agree with my rankings, then tell me your own opinion. Which comic book movie is the best to you? And next time, I will do a top 20 video on video game movies. So I hope you get ready for that.